Someone called me racist today. Anyways, let's talk about the Overwatch maps. There are some maps that I like, there are some that I don't, and so I sent out a poll asking you guys what maps you guys like by ranking them from 1 to 10. Honestly, the results do not surprise me. I'll quickly go through them. I don't want to waste too much time today, and let's get started. Antarctic Peninsula was easily the last place map with 4.32 points. Antarctic Peninsula is a map that I really did not like. I do not know why, I just always seem to lose on it. There's something about this map I don't like, and I've never figured out what it is. And apparently you guys also hate this map. The only good thing that came from this map was when you could glitch out the fish hole and just lag the entire game, because that was really funny. But only one side could even do that, and they nerfed the fish, so you can't even do it anymore. I do have to say that the boat version I think is my favorite point out of the three. And then that weird kind of bland open area is my second favorite. And then my least favorite part about it is the underground section. Because that underground section is just so weird to poke through, and, you know, if you're immobile characters, you have to walk all the way around the staircase to get the high ground. And I think the worst part about this map is that it's one of the few control points that don't have a cliff next to it. Now, I think every single point has a cliff of some sort, but you don't get boop kills on it very often unless both of you take a flank route and you somehow get them off. Unlike another map like Ilios, which is beloved by all. So Antarctic Peninsula, I think, suffers from not really being fun and kind of being bland. And I think a lot of people, even when they're winning, just don't really have fun on it. And you honestly always hold the same angles on this map for some reason. Something like Ilios Lighthouse, you sometimes fight on the houses or in those little rooms, while in this map you're pretty much always on high ground, and if you're not, you'll probably just lose. It is possible to push forward, but this map just has something wrong with it. A lot of people don't like it. I honestly am not completely sure what it is, but from what I've seen online, people just think this map is boring and boring to play on. And pretty much flanking is not really a good idea. You typically just end up in the same place. And that is my guess on why it's this low. It's personally not my least favorite map, but we're going to get to that in just a second with New Junk City at 4.71 points. I am going to also lump Surabasa into this with 4.78 points for two reasons. Number one, I'm going to say basically the same thing about them. But number two, when I got New Junk City gameplay, people were throwing on my team and it sucked. So I'm going to only use Surabasa gameplay now. Flashpoint is a lot of people's least favorite game mode, and it might be mine also. Control Point is dope, Hybrid is my favorite, and Payload's my second favorite, so by default, Clash and Flashpoint are down here. I don't really have an opinion which one I like more or less. But according to you guys, Surabasa and New Junk City suck balls. I personally dislike these maps just because of how far away you are from spawn from the points, and I don't necessarily play hypermobile characters, and hypermobile characters really succeed in these because you can keep contesting the point, keep getting there really quickly, while other people like Cassidy have to walk 5 million years. I'm an Ana player, I don't get to the point very fast, and when I die I have to take 30 seconds to get back. And the speed boost from the spawn is actually a very nice addition, really cool. But it doesn't save these maps from being kind of meh to play on. I kind of get bored walking back all the time. And something subtle to think about that most people might not is in competitive, it is the exact same length as it is in quick play. So if you get something like King's Row, you're going to be over pretty quickly, or at least half the time as you would in competitive. Well, if you play on something like New Junk City or Surabasa, it's going to take much longer unless if you get steamrolled. Also, in my opinion, one of the weirdest things about this game mode is that the points are kind of all around you. It's not very linear. So you could capture the middle objective, and then all of a sudden, the map is going to shift all the way to the right. Capture that one, then you gotta go all the way to the left. And if you're an immobile character, you're gonna get there right as the objective activates. It's just a weird game mode, and I think that's why people do not like it. Next up at 4.83 is Havana. This map, I think I know why. Say it with me, everyone. Sniper line of sights, that's why. So this map, I actually don't hate or anything, but when there's a Widowmaker on the other team, and she's at least somewhat good, the map feels terrible. You know how I said on Antarctic Peninsula, how it's kind of the boring map, it's kind of the same each time you play it? When there is a Widowmaker on the other team, the playground of fun gets shut down, and a sniper shoots up the playground. I was about to say something much worse, and I'm glad I changed it. In the background gameplay that you are seeing, I purposely was playing Junkrat instead of something like Sombra into a Widowmaker just to see how it would feel, and as you saw, if you look in the kill feed, you'll see Nox Delicious killing my entire team. So this map is really bad just simply because it enables heroes that are already, first off, really good. I mean, It is crazy how Widowmaker is still as strong as she is. But I think most importantly, it enables oppressive heroes. I know some people don't like Ilios because some heroes like Roadhog, Orisa, Lucio can be a little bit annoying booping you off the map, but let's be honest here, that's fun. It enables fun gameplay, while Havana enables snipers. And you want to know how to counter a Widowmaker? Go Widowmaker yourself, or go Sombra, or hope she misses. But if she doesn't miss, then you just gotta sit around the corner and try and kill her team. It just kinda sucks. I don't like Widowmaker. So when there's a Widowmaker on this map, it sucks. But honestly, when there's not a Widowmaker, this map is actually okay. Next up is Hanaoka. This had 4.96 points. And I think a lot of people don't like this map because it is Clash. Funny enough, Throne of Anubis actually is a little bit higher than Hanaoka. And I actually kind of like Throne of Anubis a little better than Hanaoka. Maybe it's recency bias. But I think the reason that Hanaoka is a slowdown is for two reasons. Number one, it's a Clash map. And as you know, when you play Clash, you want to clash your balls into a wall, because sometimes it can be very frustrating. People do not like these game modes. Just accept that, Blizzard. Stop adding more game modes. This map in particular, I think, suffers a little bit from balance design, because you give the defenders high ground immediately while the attackers have to be on low ground on the second point. And then if that wasn't hard enough, on the third point, their spawn is right there. This is a huge issue with Clash, that the spawns are just right there. You may as well not even try to capture that point and just like say, hey guys, let's just try and make them waste their ultimates and then we'll just take the second point again. But even then, trying to take the second point, you have the disadvantage because of that high ground. So it's a map that I think that suffers more from balance, but the Clash game mode is also kind of crummy to play, especially when you get reverse sweeped after pushing them all the way to their spawn. But then again, if you get pushed to your spawn, then you just want to give up, and I don't know, there's something stupid about this game mode. As I said with Antarctic Peninsula, you're kind of just playing the same way every single time you play the map. And I feel the same way. The flank routes are terrible on this map. Counter that with Throne of Anubis, which actually has indoor areas where you can go through and be kind of protected from people, and you can flank really easily. So in conclusion, Hanaoka I think suffers mostly from being a Clash point map, but also it doesn't have great flank routes, and the high ground I think gives the defenders too much advantage. While, of course, the problem of being a Clash point map, of having the last point being almost impossible for the attackers to win unless if it's really unbalanced. But at least if the teams are unbalanced, this game mode does go by pretty quickly. Next up is Throne of Anubis. As I said, I kind of actually like this map since it has good flank routes and it's not ultra defender-sided. I mean, I'll be honest with you though. Capturing the last point of Throne of Anubis feels so bad. I think the last point of Throne of Anubis is just terrible. Like, I like Hanaoka's third point much better than Throne of Anubis. However, the rest of Throne of Anubis actually feels pretty good. I like the rest of Throne of Anubis. Again, Clash points are kind of balls. They're not very fun, but Throne of Anubis is a little bit more fun than Hanaoka since the playing field is a little more even, except for the last point, of course, because last point is AIDS, which is a fundamental flaw of Clash, which is why it's so slow. But honestly, the rest of the map actually kind of feels good. There's nice flank routes to flank the enemies, there's high ground that either side can take, and the spawn points are kind of equal to the second point, which is kind of the same with Hanaoka also, but I don't know what it is. Throne of Anubis spawn points just feel better for some reason, and overall it's a better experience than Hanaoka. A map that I actually dislike that a lot of people like is Samoa at 5.5 points. Samoa, in my opinion, is probably my least favorite map in the game, which is really odd to say because it's a control point map. But I just lose so much on this map. I don't know what it is. I cannot play this map for some reason. I am terrible at it. The beach one, where you're kind of on high ground, it's kind of around the point and there's some weird underground areas. It feels exactly like the underground portion of Antarctic Peninsula, and I already said that was my least favorite part of that map. The lava area just feels bad for some reason, as there's only two ways you can possibly go, so no matter what, you can stop them really easily as the defenders. And then the downtown portion of Samoa kind of feels rough. It basically feels like a nerfed version of the Oasis version of this. You know, the one with the jump pad and the cars. Just the Oasis map does it better than this one. And like I said with Antarctic Peninsula, there's like a hidden rule on control points that you have to have an area where you can boot people off the map. Samoa kind of has that. The issue is that most people just don't end up going to the area, even though on the lava part, it is literally right there. The issue is that people are going to either go from the opposite side by taking the flank route, or by taking the main area, which even then you're probably not going to boot them off with. I have noticed a giant theme that the newer maps are the most hated maps, with some exceptions of course. So maybe people just don't like to learn, who knows. But I also just don't like Samoa. Again, this is probably my lowest performing map out of all of them. But honestly, the vibes are pretty chill, and that's probably what carried it to this point. But that's just me predicting because, you know, I don't like this map, I'm not gonna lie. Wish I did though. After that, at 5.53 points is Numbani. Numbani is a map that I actually really liked in Overwatch 1, but then when Overwatch 2 came around, the map kind of got sucky. And a lot of people didn't like the map in Overwatch 1 anyways, it's just I didn't see it until Overwatch 2. The map is very dive heavy, where you have to dive to high ground, and if you don't have dive characters, you have to go down in low ground, or if you're a defender, they can kind of go all around you, go all over you, take any angle they want. And this map has a set playstyle where you better play in a certain way, or you're going to lose, or get yelled at, or something like that. And I have to say that the walk from spawn on the attacker's portion just feels so bad for some reason. Like, I literally feel like I get to the point faster as a defender than the attacker, which shouldn't be right on a hybrid map. The high ground angles really make this map feel really weird, and something that I mentioned with Hanaoka with the high ground, the defenders get high ground so easily. You want to know a map that people absolutely hated because of the high ground advantage? Paris. Paris, you know that deathmatch map that you sometimes play on? That map in Overwatch 1 on Control Point was horrendous. Or I meant to say 2 Capture Point, but you know what I mean. You do not know the pain of having literally 1 choke point and then a high ground right there, and no matter where you went, you basically just lost unless if you took a sim teleporter. Numbani doesn't have exactly the same thing, as there are so many angles you can attack from, but realistically, you just want to dive onto the high ground and just skip going on low ground completely. Because the only way to get to high ground without taking 1 million years is to go through that little corridor, and of course, there's gonna always be a Junkrat whenever you do that. And heck, even if you do successfully do that, maybe they'll just jump to the other high ground because they have dive characters, or a Pharah will shoot down on you. This map, again, is tailored towards the super vertically mobile characters, and this is a problem that I actually have with Watchpoint Gibraltar myself, but Watchpoint Gibraltar remedies these issues a bit more, while Numbani just kind of doesn't, and it sometimes feels bad to play on. So it's understandable why it's this low. Speaking of though, we have the push maps. At 5.55, we have Esperanza, and at 5.58, we have New Queen Street. You might be wondering why I'm combining these two. It's simply because I never got Esperanza in the map rotation. Please add a map vote. But anyways, talking about these two maps, first off, all push maps seem to have the same path you have to take, where it's just kind of a swivel line, which seems to be a problem that a lot of maps suffer from. And just like with the Flashpoint and Clash maps, you have to walk a very far distance to get back to the fight. So there is no surprise that some of the push maps are this far down. And you want to know something really funny that I just realized? I actually didn't realize this till now. Runa Sapi has 5.69 and Colosseo has 5.84, meaning that all of the push maps are in a line right here. I really don't know why these maps are all together, but all the push game modes kind of feel meh to play. I don't know how it is, they all feel samey. It's just like they all have a different texture pack on them from Minecraft. Colosseo does have the most personality out of all of them, I think because it's the first one that's ever been created. Also, they seem to be updating Colosseo. Like, I think the rework on Colosseo really helped that map, especially because it added more flank routes, and I think Runasapi also had more flank routes. New Queen Street is actually probably the easiest to remember, which I think actually has made it harder to flank on. New Queen Street, I just seem to never get away with a flank on, and Esperanza is sort of the same thing as New Queen Street, but I'll be honest with you, all the push maps are kind of in the same boat for me, and it seems like since there's only a 0.3 difference between Esperanza and Colosseo, so in reality, I don't really have a reason for Esperanza to be the worst push map or Colosseo to be the best, but that was my best justification on why. I should have really had an optional message below every single section that said, why do you hate this map or like this map or whatever, because it would make this so much easier. But having all the push maps be under average makes sense. People don't really like this game mode, and the maps are all kind of similar, even if they have been improving over time. Next up at 5.86 is a waste of a map, also known as Oasis. Oasis, I like Oasis. It has the vroom vroom cars. I did the escape room on it, the first one. University's fun because it has an area where you can go on high ground and get booped off. That's really cool. But I never hear people love this map, except for the cars, of course. And I don't know what's about it, but the maps always seem to be one-sided. I don't know why, but on Oasis, it feels like you'll win one match and then the next two are just steamrolls backwards towards you. Like, there is no map that I think I have reverse sweeped on and gotten reverse sweeped on more than Oasis. And once you get the objective, it feels like you can just hold it forever, like the choke points are too strong or something like that. I really do have to say that the flank routes on this map are just super risky and time consuming, but the map overall is pretty okay. Especially with the cars, because I love getting hit by traffic, as all of you know. At 5.87 points is Paraiso. People like hybrid maps, and Paraiso is apparently their least favorite hybrid map. Paraiso is kind of average, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I get Paraiso, I don't really have much of an opinion. I don't know how to put it. Like, it's also my least favorite hybrid map. It's just kind of weird. Like, the defender area is kind of weird. It's kind of hard to know where to position, and it definitely does enable itself to have long-range sightlines. And it's also another map where it's super hard to flank. It kind of reminds me of Eichenwalde, but without the door to the side and without being able to fly over the roofs, which is probably why people don't like it as much as Eichenwalde. But honestly, the rest of the map is pretty chill. But moving on to Dorado, with 5.89 points. This map, I lose on every time. I don't know why. There is something in the water on this map where it just has to make me lose on this map. I have probably a horrendous win rate on this map for some reason. It's like I'll play on attack, get the 3rd point, and then they get full held. And then I'll play on defense, hold the 1st point forever, and then just get reverse sweeped, and I don't know what's wrong with me on this map. But this map, honestly, is really fun. It is honestly one of the more unique maps in Overwatch, which I think gives it a lot of bonus points, but also, because it's so unique, a lot of people do dislike it. Like, you know the area on the right on 2nd point, where before the rework, you had to go all the way to that staircase just to get high ground? And if they had a Widowmaker already on that high ground, she could just look at you and be like, oh hey, there's someone's flanky. Let's kill them. But now with the staircase that goes to high ground, it does look a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. It's actually like a cursed image, but at least you can take high ground as an attacker. But I do have to say, the spawn point on 2nd point feels so bad on this map in particular. First off, you're attacking uphill basically the entire time you're playing this map, because the defenders either have high ground, or they're up a hill, or they have both. And as I said, I like playing Ana, or Cassidy, so going on the high ground is not exactly their strong point. Now, there is a platform and staircases to help the attackers now, which makes the map, honestly, way better. I do like the map better than I used to. But also, I freaking lose on this map all the time. I don't know what it is. I do complain every time I get the map, but I don't hate it, and apparently it's pretty average to you guys, so that's pretty cool. Next up is Junkertown with 5.9 points. Junkertown, just like Dorado, is a classic map. However, the beginning of the map is honestly, I think, most people's least favorite part, simply because if you have a Widowmaker on the defender or attacker side, she has so much line of sight just like on Havana, but the thing is that that's only 1st point. The rest of the map is a lot more close quarters, and I think that kind of saved the map. Let's move on to the next one, which is Busan at 5.91. The Boosie is actually not one of my favorite maps ever. However, we got good news for you guys. You guys ordered control point, we gave you a cliff. Not only is there a cliff, but you can get hit by a goddamn train, which makes this map really funny. The only issue is that that particular point seems to be the most choke heavy point. Even if the defenders do have to shoot up on high ground, if they take the high ground or there's a Widowmaker, it does kind of ruin the experience, and I think the map shines at its best when there's a bunch of knockback characters that are just trying to boop you off the map. Again, I don't know why, it's just the most fun game mechanic in this game. It's actually probably why Lucio is the favorite hero out of your guys' votes. As for the other control points, the one in the mecha base does look cool. Unfortunately, the cliff is not as cool as on the other one, and it also suffers from the kind of the Samoa lava map where it's just on the other side, so no one really goes there. But I mean, it's not bad to play on. And then the more city-like one, I honestly don't like as much, but it's easier to flank on in my opinion. So I think it averages out to an average map. Next up is one that I think would have been much lower without the rework, and that is Circuit Royal with 6.06 points. Circuit Royal to me kind of feels the same as Dorado, where it's a bit more unique, and with the new high ground areas, I think a lot of people like this map a lot more. This used to be a very Widowmaker dominant map, but not as much anymore. There are now line of sight blockers that really improved this map, and again, I think because it was such an improvement, kind of like Colosseo, I think it jumped up a little higher than what most people would have expected. Because I know that Colosseo used to be like people's least favorite maps before the rework. And as for Circuit Royal, like I said, I think it really benefited from the improvements. The map just feels so much better. The like flanking areas feel so nice. You can get the high ground easier. It's just awesome. But honestly, it has a very respectable placement. Next up at 6.15 is Blizzard World. Blizzard World, believe it or not, used to be one of my favorite maps in the game, but then the 1st point choke point just kind of felt really bad in Overwatch 2, and I feel like I can never break it. Again, Widowmaker gets great sightlines here. Honestly, I would say that Ashe is even better than Widowmaker on this map, especially with a Mercy Pocket, just because there's that choke point that is really hard to get through, especially without a shield or mobility. And you can go try and take the high ground next to point, but they're gonna stop you if they're paying attention, so don't try that. Just go to point. That's typically where the fights happen. It does feel a little samey sometimes, I won't lie. The 2nd point is kind of a playground just because it's so open, there's so many ways you can go. And the biggest downside I ever find about this map is that for some reason the 2nd point spawn for the defenders is like right there. And even though it's kind of a far walk, the fact it's right there does seem to have a little bit of an issue, especially when you do capture it and then you're a defender. You just respawned, you walk out, you turn to your right, and then the whole enemy team that died is just right there ready to violence you. But overall, this map is just respectable and in a good place. I like it. You want to know a map I also like? Shambali Monastery at 6.42 points. This map is the second highest Overwatch 2 map, and honestly, it's a good map. It's just a good map. I like it. The only part about this map I don't like is the third point as an attacker, because I always feel like I'm losing because they respawn so quickly, and then in overtime it feels like you can finally break through, which is honestly a problem with most maps, but I mean, who cares? This map in particular, I think is just really good and really solid, and that's my only issue with it. The flank routes on this map feel really good. I do know that second point is a little bit of a wild area where it takes a little bit of time to get to places. But like, this map is just good. I just like it. I don't know why. Also, the fact that Zenyatta's and Ramacho's like love triangle map. Wait, what? Hang on, I didn't say anything. Wait, why is it a triangle? Wait, who's the third part? Wait, hang on a second. Is it Doomfist? I want to threesome. No, I shouldn't say that. What? I'm going to bed after this. Anyway, Shambali Monastery. I like the map. I never get mad on this map. I don't know what it is. The only time I get mad is third point, like I said. But again, it's just a fun map. This would actually be higher for me than most people. And that is because next up is Watchpoint Gibraltar with 6.58 points. And I think this map really suffers from the same issues that Numbani has. However, people just like this map better. And I think that's simply because it's a payload map where you don't have to capture a certain objective, where you're getting shot from the high ground constantly. And instead, even though you do go on low ground to push the objective, you have a lot of cover down there. Sure, you're fighting uphill, but you can also flank while they're looking downwards. Or quite honestly, it's actually really easy to brute force your way up. I do think this map has a lot of bias in it, being an Overwatch 1 classic. Because I won't lie, the hero diversity on this map does feel kind of limiting sometimes. And this is personally kind of an average map for me because I have a lot of highs and a lot of lows on this map. But overall, people really like the map, and it has a respectable placement. So good job, Watchpoint, you're not terrible. Anyways, next up is Midtown, which is actually not in a mid placement. It's at 6.65. Midtown is kind of shocking, honestly. It has just gotten better over time, especially when we found out about an area where you can just stand behind an invisible wall and can't shoot through it or shoot back. I mean, I'm sure that bug's gonna get fixed soon, but I mean, it was cool to see when I was playing earlier today. Next up with 6.66 points, actually just barely beating out Midtown and somehow having 3 6s in it, is Nepal. Nepal has a cliff first off. It's good. I like it. 10 out of 10 control point map, but that's only 1 point, sadly. This one kind of has the same vibe as Shambali Monastery because it's kind of the same area. And it's also another one of those maps where the control point on one of them is actually on low ground while you can shoot down from high ground. And I do have to say that that particular point suffers from having 2 pathways. You know how it has 2 pathways? I don't know what it is. I always go to high ground. Like, every single time I go to high ground, I'm like, okay, tank, I want you to put your giant shield up or your ability or something. Just get us through. We're going to take high ground. We're going to win. And then they go to low ground and die by themselves. I don't know what it is. It's only this map. Only this map. The tank decides to go finger themselves in the corner. I don't know what is wrong with this map. And also, you know how you can go like up the stairs? Like you go down the main pathway, you go to the left, you go up the stairs, you go through a little corridor. Nobody ever takes that. I've never seen a single soul take that flank route. So this map is kind of a playground map where you kind of do whatever you want, and the exception to that is the one with the glyph. You can't really do whatever you want because you'll just get gunned down. But overall, the map is great. I really don't have anything to say. It's just a good map. I like playing it. I like booping people off the cliff. Let's go to the next one, which is Route 66 with 6.87 points. This is the certified hood classic. It is the funny cowboy map. I think I know why people like it. There really isn't anything wrong with this map. It's just a solid payload map. You can go to high ground as the attacker. You can defend it with the defender spot, I guess. On second point, you can get the high ground super easily as the defender, which I will say, my only gripe about this map is that there are some places that are inaccessible by all heroes. And that little cave has the same issue as on Numbani, where Junkrat can just shoot through it all the time. I mean, he was playing Junkrat on that point though, let's be honest. Which is probably why it's honestly not really an issue. I never see anyone go in that cave for some reason. But then on third point, you can do some quirky strategies with the moving platforms, which I'm gonna be honest, ever since Overwatch 2 came around, you do a lot less because typically you would put a Bastion up there, he'd shoot down on people, it'd be really funny. It didn't work very often, but it was fun. That's kind of gone in Overwatch 2, but let's be honest here, that didn't really change the ranking. This map is just amazing. It is the funny cowboy map, like I said. The name just is iconic. It is Route 66. It's just cool. Honestly, the coolest map name in my opinion. Like, what other map has a number in it? There's no other map. I will tell you right now, there is no other map, at least in quick play and competitive, that has a number in it. But you wanna know what else? Hollywood has 2 L's in it. Who thinks of that? It has holly in it. It's almost Christmas. I'm very holly, I'm sure. Anyways, it won with 6.92 points, which it has 6 and 9 in it, so I guess that's cool. Actually, the next map has 6.96969. We'll get to that in a moment. Anyways, Hollywood is actually one of my favorite maps because it's just cool. I love Second Point. Hollywood's Second Point is my favorite part. Now I'm getting to the maps that I actually have stuff to say about. I love Hollywood's Second Point. It has the little elevators that go up the high ground. You don't even need mobility. Like, Reinhardt can just go there and you just are like, hey, Reinhardt, what are you doing up here? And he's like, I'm going to shout on you. And he shouts on you. So yeah, I solo shatter Anthony a lot on this map. I don't have a gameplay clip of it, but I mean, I'm sure I could find the game where I solo shattered him. It's just on a different map. Hybrid is also my favorite game mode, so there's no surprise that I like it a lot. And it seems like a lot of the hybrid maps are pretty high up. But like I said, the jungle gym of Second Point is just so fun for me. And I will say the map falls off a little bit during Third Point for me. Like I said, I like getting the high ground, and as an attacker, you can't really get the high ground super easily, let alone, honestly, the high ground isn't very cool on Third Point. Like, even as a defender, you don't really want to go up there. It's kind of like on Watchpoint Gibraltar, where if you go up there, they can still push the payload past you. But yeah, this map is so cool. Like, you're literally killing people in Hollywood. It reminds me of GTA in that one mission. Next in 5th place is Rialto with 6.96969, etc. You can go onto roofs and just kind of flank people. That's fun. There's high ground both sides can take. That's cool. You can get under the map if you do it right. Obviously, that's probably been patched by now, but it's still a thing. I do have to say that Third Point, again, is my least favorite part about this map. But regardless, this map is pretty chill, especially because, like I said, the best part is the beginning, and that's where you're going to be playing the most. So that is why it's probably in 5th place. In 4th place, we got Lijiang Tower with 7.57 points. You want to know something about Lijiang Tower? It has a great spot where you can knock people off the map. You guys see what I mean by the top spots have a lot of places where you can knock people off the map with? Now, I do have to say that sometimes this is a bad thing. I will say that sometimes the point where you can knock people off the map all the time with, again, I'm so sorry I don't remember the names, is sometimes frustrating. It's kind of like the Nepal part, where I said your tank kind of goes a separate direction and dies. This map really suffers from it too, or at least this point really suffers from it, where I always see my teammate go a different direction than me, and I'm like, why, what are you doing? And then they get booped off, and it's kind of stupid. But there is so much fun you can do on this map. Like, as a defender, you can be Roadhog. There's that little wall, you can hook people and push them in. It's cool. I feel like I'm not describing these very well. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just gonna tell you guys straight up, I did not want to make this video. I think it's because I'm in a terrible mood because of personal reasons. If you're in my Discord, you know why. But you want to know something that I do want to do? I want to play Lijiang Tower. Lijiang Tower is just fun. Lijiang Night Market, I think it is. You can boot people off while going to the point. You can sim teleporter there. I will say that it does suffer a little bit because there's like a whole section of the map that you typically never go to. But it's just like these maps feel balanced and you can do quirky stuff on it. You can feel like you're gonna play any hero you want. Now there are some issues, like you could play Sim on these maps. That can be really frustrating. But I mean, honestly, Sim isn't that frustrating of a hero anymore, especially only having 3 turrets. And honestly, on that part, again, I don't remember what it is. I'm so sorry. The one where you get booped off a lot on that control point. I'll try and put on screen which one I'm talking about. If you do capture the objective as a Symmetra and you put your turrets up, it is kind of easy to destroy them even though it's indoors. So again, it's not as frustrating as other maps. And this map just has a lot of meme ability. So I really like the map. It is silly. Want to know an even more silly map? Ilios. It is the top control point map with 7.72 votes, well, points. And it is iconic. It has the well to hook people into. It has Lighthouse, which honestly is very surprising how many boops you get on it. I probably get even more on Lighthouse than well. And then of course there is Ruin, which is the worst part of Ilios. Let's be honest here. It's just a Widowmaker duel all the time. It sucks balls. But honestly, Lighthouse and well carry it so hard. And I know some people like Ruin, but you're a weirdo. Okay, I will give in. Ruin is not that bad. I do kind of like Ruin. It's just that well and Lighthouse by comparison are so much better. Well and Lighthouse are just 10 out of 10 map designs, and they have holes to not fall into while the flank routes feel good. Everything is fun about it. I'm sure I don't even have to explain why Ilios is so good. Let's just move on to the last 2. With 8.00 points is Eichenwalde. Eichenwalde, I'm a little surprised got this high, but it's an iconic map, and okay, there shouldn't be any surprise. It's Eichenwalde. I played Eichenwalde today. I played some silly Junkrat, and I almost got away with a bush strategy. I was so sad I didn't. I've been wanting to use that for so long, but I didn't have tires, so I couldn't do the silliness, which is why they should add a map vote, so I can freaking only play Eichenwalde, so I can finally get that clip. I've been trying so hard to get a clip where I tire from that bush that you'll see on screen. But basically, Eichenwalde has a bunch of silly areas. It's iconic. There's the choke point. It's hybrid. It's just, there's a cliff. There's a bridge cliff. Like, you can knock people off the map. Last point, like, the cinematic for this map was dope, too. Also, the Halloween Junkenstein's Revenge was on this map. It's just so good. The Halloween version looks so good. I made a D&D campaign on this map. There is so much you can do in this map. The atmosphere is peak. But there was one map that was higher. And with 8.14 points was King's Row. King's Row is a lot of people's favorite map. The choke point isn't too frustrating, even though a Widowmaker can shoot from the attacker's spawn, and that is frustrating. The rest of the map doesn't seem to suffer from that problem as much. And if you do have that issue where there's a Widowmaker sniping you, it's honestly easy to counter, because guess what? Reinhardt. You can put up your shield, push forward, and by the time your shield breaks, there's going to be cover for your team. It feels so natural to play Reinhardt on this map, and I don't know if you know this, but Reinhardt is a pretty popular tank. Can you believe it? King's Row, I don't know if it's my favorite map, but it is very close to it. The flank routes on this map feel kind of cool. You can do some quirky stuff. You don't have to play the same all the time, but even when you do, kind of like on third point, you do kind of have to play the same on third point, I won't lie. There is some quirkiness that you can do, like there's a cliff on third point, which I will say this is the weakest map that we're talking about in like the top 10 with cliffs. Well, I guess Midtown doesn't have a cliff, but you know what I mean. King's Row's cliff is basically non-existent unless you're a Roadhog or something, or Reinhardt, and being a Chad like me and freaking charging Planik off the map. But no, there is no surprise that King's Row is this high. I'm pretty sure King's Row had the most 10 out of 10s. And it's because playing tank on this map actually feels good. You get to play Reinhardt, one of the most fun tanks, at least in my opinion. And even if you don't play Reinhardt, pretty much every single tank does have a use on this map. I will say playing Wrecking Ball is kind of rough on this map, but every other tank seems to have some sort of viability on this map. Playing DPS, you can get away with pretty much any DPS. It just may depend on what point you're on. And on support, you have areas to go to when you're getting dove. So King's Row is just a fun map. And I will say that a thing that I kind of missed when I first talked about this map is that this map is very, very close quarters. This makes it amazing for all the close range characters. And like I said, with a lot of other maps, a lot of maps have huge sightlines in certain areas. So there are some characters that are just craving for close quarters, and this is one of the maps that delivers it. And you know what? I agree. I think this is the best map in Overwatch, even if it's not my favorite. But it's close up there. I mean, my top 3, by the way, for those of you who are curious, is Eichenwalde, King's Row, and Hollywood, and I don't know which one I like the best. But comment down below your favorite map, comment down below your least favorite map, and comment down below if you liked me just rambling, because I didn't have a script this time. I didn't feel like it. Like I said, I feel kind of depressed today. I will feel better, I promise. Christmas is coming up, and a funny surprise is happening. If you've been in my streams, you know what it is. I can't say it though, just in case my dad overhears it. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Or actually, I'll just tell you guys, one of our puppies sadly passed away from old age. However, my sister is buying a new puppy for my dad. I'm sure my dad doesn't watch my videos, so I think we're good. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe. I have, like I said, not been feeling too good. I'm very sorry for the lack of uploads. Maybe Marvel Rivals Racism tier list soon, I guess. I don't know. I wanted to make a more casual video, not because like I wanted to necessarily make it, but because I didn't want to make it today. I've not been having it. I'm so sorry. But anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all later.